Today we're going to be talking about my man Kevin Durant, and the question is, where does KD rank all time in the history of basketball? So that's what I want to get into this video today. I think it's something that's really interesting. Haven't really seen too many videos being done about this particular topic, so I'm really interested to talk about this video, and hopefully you guys enjoy the video too. So let's get right into it. So who's Kevin Durant? Kevin Durant, as you all know, is one of the greatest players currently playing basketball in the NBA right now. He's a two-time NBA champion. He's a two-time Finals MVP. He's the most valuable player in the league, 10-time All-Star, etc., etc., etc. But before I go too much into Kevin Durant, let me just quickly give you guys my top 10 players of all time in no particular order. So on this list, I got Michael Jordan, got Kobe Bryant, I got Larry Bird, I got Tim Duncan, Shaquille O'Neal, LeBron James, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Magic Johnson, Hakeem Olajuwon, and Wilt Chamberlain. Now that's the top 10 list that I have. And in that, the question is now, if I go further down the list, the question is, where does Kevin Durant rank? Now, if we add some more players to this list, going from 11 up, other players I have in there, I got Isaiah Thomas, I got Oscar Robinson, I got Jerry West, I have Dwayne Wade, we got Kevin Durant, we have Karl Malone, we have Allen Iverson, Clyde Drexler, and John Stockton. Now, the question is though, I added KD to this list, the second list, but the question is, I'm trying to figure out where does he rank all time, and I guess the best question is he even in the top 10? So that's what I want to get into this video today. Now, before you guys start freaking out and saying, hold up, what do you mean he's in the top 10? Let's go through some of the players that I have in my top 10. And let me just quickly say, this is my top 10. It's not the top 10 list for everyone out there. So don't get, into your feelings and like, yo, it's my top 10. Is you put your list out. That's what you think. And I'm not going to be debating back and forth with you. I'm just giving you the top 10 list, and then we can go back and forth from there. So let's look at some of the other players on the list. Let's look at Kobe, okay? Kobe is a 5-time NBA champion, 2 times Finals MVP, most valuable player of the year in 2008. He's an 18-time All-Star. He is a 4-time All-Star Game MVP. He's been on 11 first-team NBA teams. He's been on 9 all-first team defensive team, and he has 2 scoring titles. Now, for his career, Kobe Bryant averaged 25 points a game, 5.2 rebounds, and 4.7 assists per game. One of the greatest, players of all time, one of the most clutch players, and one of the most accomplished players. Now, let's move on to the next person on the list, which is Michael Jeffrey Jordan. Now, Michael Jordan is a 6 times Finals MVP. He has 6 finals. He's a 6-time NBA champion, He has 6 Finals MVP in all of those finals that he won. He's a 5-time league regular season MVP. He's a 14-time All-Star. He's been a 3-time All-Star Game MVP. He has a Defensive Player of the Year award. He even has been on 9 all-first defensive teams, and he was even the Rookie of the Year in 1985. Now, if we look at MJ, for his career, he averaged 30 points a game, 6.2 rebounds, and 5.3 assists, and he played for 14 years in the NBA. The majority of his career, he played it with the Chicago Bulls, and in the latter part of his career, he played it with the Washington Wizards. Now, moving on to another player that I have in my top 10, Larry Bird. Okay, Larry Bird is a 3-time NBA champion, 2 times Finals MVP, 3-time regular season MVP, 12-time All-Star. He's been an All-Star Game MVP once. He's been on 9 all-first NBA teams, been on 3 All-NBA second defensive teams, and he was also the Rookie of the Year. And he's one of, he's part, and he once, he's been in the 50, 40, 90 club between the years of 1987 and 1988. One of the most prolific shooters in the history of the NBA, one of the most clutch basketball players, one of the toughest players of all time. And if we look at his career averages, for his career, remember he only played 12 years. Some of that has to do with injury. He averaged 24.3 points a game, got you about 10 rebounds a game, so essentially averaged a double-double for his entire career, which is nothing to sneeze at. And he was he got you 6.3 assists. And Larry Bird is about 6'9", 220 pounds of pure greatness. Now, the next player I have on my top 10 is Tim Duncan. Now, Tim Duncan is a 5-time champion, 3 times Finals MVP. He's won 2 regular season MVPs, a 15-time All-Star. He's been an All-Star Game MVP, been on 10 All-First NBA teams. He's been on 8 All-First NBA defensive teams, and he's been on 7 All-Second defensive teams, and he was a Rookie of the Year in 1998. Now, for his career, Tim Duncan averaged 19 points, 10.8 rebounds, and 3 assists. He was about 6'11", weighed about 250 pounds. And what's interesting about Tim Duncan is widely regarded the greatest power forward of all time, but Tim Duncan actually barely averaged 1 more rebound than Larry Bird for his career, which should tell you guys just how great of a player Larry Bird is, and a lot of people sleep on him. I don't know why. Another player I got in my top 10 is Shaquille O'Neal, of course, 4-time NBA champion. He was the Diesel himself, 3 times Finals MVP, back-to-back in a three-peat. He's been a regular season MVP in the year 2000, a 15-time All-Star, been an All-Star Game MVP 3 times, been on 8 All-First NBA teams, on 2 second NBA teams. He's been on 3 times All-Defensive Team, and he was a Rookie of the Year in 1993 when he came out. Now, if we look at Shaq's numbers for his career, Shaq played 18 years in the NBA, which is astonishing because Shaq was 7'1", around 325 pounds. So to play basketball for 18 years is an astonishing accomplishment. He averaged 23.7 points a game, got you 10.9 rebounds and 2.5 assists, and is widely regarded as the most dominant basketball player in the history of the NBA. Then we have my man LeBron James, who a lot of people think I hate on. Y'all need to chill with all of that. But anyway, LeBron James is a 3 times Finals MVP, 3 times Finals MVP, has 3 championship rings, 15-time All-Star, 4-time regular season MVP, been on 12 All-First teams, 2 All-Second teams, been on 5 All-First defensive teams. As I'm doing the video right now, he's actually probably going to lead the league in assists for the first time in his career, and was a Rookie of the Year in 2004 when he came into the NBA. And for his career, he's averaging 25.1 points a game, 7.6 rebounds. No, sorry, this is for this year, but I think in his career he's averaging about 27 points a game, getting you about 7 rebounds and 7 assists or so, and practically shooting 50% from the field throughout his entire career. So LeBron James is one of the greatest players of all time, and I got him in my top 10. The next player I got is my man Magic Johnson. Now, Magic Johnson is a 5-time NBA champion, 3 times Finals MVP, been a 3-time regular season MVP, been a 12-time All-Star. He's been on 2 All-Star Game MVPs, on 9 All-First NBA teams. He's been on, he's also been on a second team once. He's led the league in assists 4 separate times in his career, and he has one of the most magnetic and charming smiles in sports history. And him and Larry Bird were a major reason were the major catalyst that brought the NBA back and made it what it was. And then Michael Jordan took it to an entirely different level. So Magic Johnson is one of my top 10 greatest players of all time. Of course, I have Hakeem the Dream Olajuwon, 2 times NBA champion, 2-time Finals MVP, regular season. He has 1 regular season MVP, 12-time All-Star, 6-time All-First NBA teams. He's been on 2. He actually has 2 Defensive Player of the Year awards, been on 5 All-First defensive teams. And, he's led the league in rebounding twice and led the league in blocks 3 separate times. So Hakeem was an amazing player for his career. He averaged 21.8 points a game, got you 11.1 rebounds, and 2.5 assists. He was 7 foot tall, and he weighed about 255 pounds, and he played for 18 years. So he's definitely one of the greatest players of all time. Then after that, I got my man Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. He's been a 6-time NBA champion, 2 times Finals MVP, he has 6 regular season MVPs, been a 19-time All-Star, been on 10 All-First NBA teams, 5 second teams, so that's 15 All-NBA teams, 6-time All-Defensive teams, and was the Rookie of the Year, 2-time NBA scoring champion, led the league in rebounds once, and has the most points in the history of the NBA by any single player. For his career, Kareem averaged 24.6 points a game, 11.2 rebounds, and 3.6 assists. As I said, he played for 19 years, which is remarkable for a big man. 7'2", weighed about 225 pounds. And to put that in context, Paul George is 6'8", and he weighs 220 pounds. So that just shows you how lanky and slinky and slim he was, but it's what allowed Kareem to play so long in his career, because he was able to manage his body really, really well, because he didn't have a lot of weight on his joints as a big man. And that's the reason why he was able to play so long, I believe. And finally, we got Wilt Chamberlain, Mr. Video Game Numbers. Wilt Chamberlain is a 2-time NBA champion, one-time regular season MVP, one-time Finals MVP, 4-time regular season MVP, 13-time All-Star. You know, he's been on 7 All-First teams, 3 All-Second teams. He's been on 2 All-Defensive teams, led the league in rebounding 11 times. He's been a 7-time scoring champion, and he actually, believe it or not, led the league in assists once in his career. Now, he played for 13 years. He averaged 30 points a game, got you 23 rebounds a game is what he averaged for his career, and he averaged 4.4 assists, which is absolutely astonishing if you look at Kareem's numbers. And for a season, he actually averaged 50 points in a game, which is remarkable, and averaged 25 rebounds per game for a season. So Kareem is on a completely different level. But let's get back to the crux of this conversation, and that is Kevin Durant. Where does KD rank in between all of these great players? Now, as I said before, I mentioned a list of some other players where I said, honorable mentions: Isaiah Thomas, Oscar Robinson, Jerry West, Dwayne Wade. I got Kevin Durant, Karl Malone, Clyde Drexler, Allen Iverson, and John Stockton. But the question is, where does KD rank in all of this? Now, he definitely has the championship hardware to be in the top 10, but the question is, if you're going to put him in the top 10, who are you bringing out? Okay, if KD were to win another title, he would have tied LeBron James, and he would have tied Larry Bird. Now, the question is, though, what's KD done in his career? Now, KD is a 2-time NBA champion, 2 times Finals MVP, regular season MVP, 10-time All-Star, 2-time All-Star Game MVP, Rookie of the Year 2008. He's had 4 scoring titles. He's also a member of the 50-40-90 club in 2013. Last time we saw him on the court, he was averaging 26 points a game, 6 rebounds, 5.9 assists, which is really incredible as a playmaker, pretty much getting you 6 assists a game. Now, KD has had some great years. Mind you, those are some years when he was playing with the Golden State Warriors. Other years when he was in Oklahoma City, one year he averaged 30 points a game, basically shot 40% from the field that season, got you about 7 rebounds a game, shot 87% from the free throw line. And KD has had seasons where he's consistently shot over 50%, in a season. If I count, he's actually had at least 7 seasons in a row where this dude is shooting 50% from the field. And in 2017, 2018, your boy shot 42% from the three-point line. So KD is one of the most efficient basketball players in the history of basketball. But what makes it even more remarkable is that the majority of his offense is generated from the perimeter. This guy's getting all of his shots from the perimeter. It's not like as if he's driving to the basket, which he has the ability to do, but all of his shots are from the perimeter. He doesn't waste any energy. He doesn't over dribble, catches and shoots. He's very decisive when he has the ball. He knows exactly what he wants to do. He is unguardable. No one in basketball can bother Kevin Durant. I don't care what you say. If Kevin Durant misses, the majority of the time it just has to do because he just missed a shot because of his release. Now, obviously, if you're very physical with him, you can definitely throw him off rhythm to an extent, but Kevin Durant is unguardable, and you can see with his numbers. He shooting 50% from the field pretty much all of these different years, and I said at least 6 years in a row. So where does he rank? In my opinion, I think KD is a top 15 NBA player of all time. I don't know where you have, I don't have a specific number for him, but he is one of the 15 greatest basketball players of all time. And the only thing that's stopping me from taking him a notch higher is that he needs to win more championships. I care about championships. That's just me. That's what I feel. I'm not changing my opinion on that. Championships mean something. Winning should count for something, and winners should be rewarded for putting in that effort and winning. Now, some of you may say, well, he played with the Golden State Warriors. Well, I can say the Golden State Warriors played with him too, because he clearly was the best player on the court. And if you guys want to even start talking about Stephen Curry and all that, Stephen Curry hasn't even won the Finals MVP, man. Stephen Curry has lost out on an MVP to Andre Iguodala. So I didn't want to hear that. These guys greatly benefited from him. Now, granted, you could say they won a chip without him, and they won 2 more with him. So last time I checked, 2 is more than 1. So I don't want to hear anything about KD being discredited. That dude won those championships, and if you watch those finals games, he was the catalyst for them winning those games because he was the one that stepped up and really made some big plays. And a lot of people assert that if he had played in the last finals against the Toronto Raptors, that they would have most likely won that series too. That's how important KD is. So in my opinion, Kevin Durant is a top 15 player of all time, and if he keeps winning, we're going to have to bump somebody else out of my top 10. But what I want to know from you guys is where do you rank Kevin Durant all time? That's what I want to know from you guys in the comment section below. So leave your all-time ranking list in the bottom. Let me know where you rank him, where you have him in NBA history, and I'd love to hear from you guys. For more short clips and other interesting shows, be sure to subscribe to the Dreamerspro YouTube channel, and for more in-depth analysis on sports and other events around the sporting world, make sure you follow us on our Dreamerspro podcast on Spotify and iTunes. Until the next episode,